Uh-oh. We'll start with this. Late yesterday, Boxing Insider Rick Glaser took to his social media and said that Clarissa Shields has reputedly failed a drug test for her most recent fight, rumored to be a PED test. Rumored. Further clarification on the situation was later provided by doping expert Victor Conte, who said, important notice to boxing, Clarissa Shields did not test positive for a PED after her recent fight in Michigan. Clarissa had not smoked marijuana. However, the commission did a mouth swab test after the fight. There seems to be a number of issues that exist within the Michigan boxing procedure. Urine is the normal sample used to test for marijuana. Most credible anti-doping entities do not consider marijuana to be a PED. Most don't. But there are some inconsistencies within the infrastructure. I remember that Keyshawn Davis tested positive for marijuana, and his fight with Nair Albright was ruled a no contest as a result. I remember that Liana Cruz, her fight with Jackie Calvo, was ruled a no contest for the same reason, and both of those fights took place in Texas. This fight took place in Michigan. Victor Conte continued, VADA found no PEDs in Clarissa's blood and urine samples. The Nevada Commission, the UFC, and other commissions do not consider marijuana a performance-enhancing drug. The amount found in her mouth swab was 3.4 nanograms or parts per billion. This is an ultra-trace amount that likely would have come from secondhand smoke in the arena. There were also other irregularities that occurred in the testing procedure. The world of boxing needs to clearly understand that Clarissa is a clean boxer and always has been. More information about this rather unusual case will become available soon. Some people find it suspicious that Victor Conte was so Johnny on the spot with a lofty explanation for what is a snack systems fighter. How could he have been privy to all of this information so fast? Why does it always seem like when a snack systems fighter is involved, Victor Conte is so involved? I understand that he is the founder of Snack Systems, but this is a VADA case, a doping case. You manufacture supplements. What does any of this have to do with you?
What?
One can make certain inferences as to why Victor Conte was so Johnny on the spot, reassuring the boxing world that Clarissa is a clean athlete. Is that what you reassured her?
Careful what you say or you might get sued.
As Clarissa Shields is now threatening legal action against Rick Glaser, who seemingly broke this story. He was the first I saw. Can you sue somebody for saying they heard a rumor? Can you do that? Is there a legal precedent there to file for damages? And I don't think so, because what damages were incurred? Did Rick Glaser saying that he heard a rumor you failed the VADA test cost you any money, any sponsorships, any endorsements? What damages were incurred that you would then sue him? Pain and suffering? Did him saying that cause you any pain and suffering? Because if you take him to court and you try to sue him, what are you suing him for? For saying that he heard a rumor? I don't think that's how this works, and I don't think you can sue him for that, especially when the story does hold some water. While she didn't test positive for a performance-enhancing drug, she did test positive for a banned substance, banned at least in the state of Texas. This fight took place in Michigan, but it's neither here nor there. I don't think you can sue him for that. So this is a big part of the reason that the boxing journos are judicious with what they choose to relay to the boxing community at large, because before you break a story, you want to know that it holds some water, lest you incur the wrath of a boxer and that boxer's fan base for the dissemination of misinformation, even if you get it a little bit wrong. They're gonna be all over you like a cheap suit. The old saying goes, don't shoot the messenger. pleasure, but in these very sensitive and volatile times, people will get mad at you just for speaking your mind.
And that rhymes.
For relaying a message, they'll get mad at you for telling them what you were told or what you may have heard, for relaying information.
Why are you mad?
So the GWOAT is not guilty of testing positive for performance-enhancing drugs, not that, but perhaps a banned substance.
Reefer.
Only trace amounts, not enough to constitute recreational use so much as contact. But that explanation comes to us by way of Victor Conte. And some don't want to take it from him.
Why not?
Because of his past, because of his history, his sketchy background. Underneath it all, Victor's continued presence in any organized sport begs a question. Is he up to his old tricks? Is he doing in boxing what he was doing in other sports years ago? Or has he gone straight?
Do you really believe he's turned over a new leaf and all he's doing is manufacturing supplements?
It's all he's up to now, the way he gets all entangled in every single doping case that does or doesn't involve a Snack Systems fighter, though when it does, he gets very testy, very defensive, making assurances he's not authorized to make.
Why?
And why did you just pronounce the H in why? Nobody does that.
You just did.
There's something to be said about that, and I'm not here to plant a seed that wasn't already planted as soon as people notice that Victor gets a little bit too involved in these situations.
At the very most, you're selling creatine and protein powder, protein bars.
What do you care if Joe Boxer tests positive for marijuana or something else? Why do you always get so involved in these situations?
He is an expert in the field.
That is true. One with Victor's sketchy past, his background, would be able to identify what fighters are doping and why, but another way to look at it is he might be able to help them. It's a double-edged sword. There are two sides to that coin.
In any event, the story is all she tested positive for was reefer. Make it at what you will.
Men's lightweight news. Former champion turned boxing analyst Paulie Malignaggi said, "You don't have a single Hall of Famer on your resume.
He's talking about Gervonta.
You're talking about retiring because you accomplished it all. That's crazy to me."
Mediocre!
It's mediocre is what that is. That's mediocrity and celebrating mediocrity. Celebrating Gervonta Davis is tantamount to celebrating being able to make your own bed, being able to wipe your own ass. You made a little bit of money in the sport of boxing. You did do 1 million pay-per-view buys once, but that wasn't by yourself. You needed Ryan's help to do it, because without Ryan, you don't do numbers like that. You don't do half those numbers by yourself.
Mediocre!
And some wanted to crown this butterball the face of boxing for doing what? Getting ugly tattoos and wearing purses?
Painting his nails?
This is a numbers game. And the numbers never told a story where Gervonta Davis had usurped anybody to become the face of boxing.
He wants to retire now.
Having not fought the vast majority of his contemporaries, Tevin Farmer, when he was IBF champion, Teofimo,
Loma,
Shakur S. Stevenson, no Devin Haney.
He gave it away, you know. He gave it away that he avoided that fight. He had his reasons, but he essentially confirmed they did reach out to him. They did try to make that fight.
Before, it was subject to some speculation as to whether or not a legitimate offer went out to Gervonta Davis to do a fight with Devin Haney.
Now we know it did because you confirmed it.
The boxing world is reacting to that news. I saw the good people at the Boxing Voice.
What?
The Boxing Voice, a headline that reads, "Proof Gervonta Davis ducked the Devin Haney fight for $20 million. If you're confident that you can go in there and knock out this guy like you knock out all those other guys you fight, why wouldn't you do it for $20 million? I don't understand.
Pretty sure he didn't make $20 million fighting Frank Martin, and he's not about to fighting Lamont Roach. And we've been all through that. You're starting to see people turn on Gervonta Davis. They've finally grown impatient. You can't pretend that Turkey's money ain't green as grass.
Real as ever, the fighters associated with him are the ones that top off Sportico's top-earning boxers in the sport. Fury's up there, Usyk's up there, AJ.
The money's real, it's just that you're not.
We're past the point of pretending that Turkey's money ain't green as cucumbers. The money's real. Guys who make more money than you.
Canelo.
It's real enough for them, and they make more than you, so why wouldn't it be good enough for you? Or is it that it's not really about the money? You're not worried about them paying you the money. What you're worried about is not being able to stay in character, because you go over there, you ain't having your pick of the litter. You ain't having it all your way, and that's the only way You can stay in character.
Phony.
He's a fraud, a fake, a charlatan.
Mediocre.
None of it surprises me. There are never going to be any surprises with Gervonta Davis. I told you, that kid's career may as well be scripted.
An illusion of the drama that you often see in boxing, an illusion of that drama, what plays out more like a sitcom.
This is a situation comedy, and the situation is, before you step up in class, in competition, before you do that, you'd retire. The PBC don't have Showtime feeding them a budget anymore. Al Heyman can't protect you. You're facing a scarcity of opponents at the weight you campaign. I should say, not opponents, but safe ones. Safe choices.
Safe opponents.
There are not that many, if any, left. And even if you can scrape up a few dollars to put together a show, you're not going to make much. It's more trouble than it's worth.
We've been all through that.
I'm not the least bit broken up about it. I never expected Gervonta to fight any of these people. And him calling it a career this year, potentially, that's cause for celebration. Go away and take your degenerate fans with ya.
Bye.
And if he is truly gone when this year comes to an end, I don't know how some of these other content creators are going to sustain, since they're not big on world boxing, international boxing. They are less concerned with what else is happening in the sport.
They don't care.
They rely on fighters like this for their digital metrics.
Maybe they'll gravitate towards other subject matter, other kinds of content, maybe other kinds of sports. When Gervonta Davis is no longer around for them to make videos about
his fashion choices and his braids and what new tattoos he gets. You know, all this boxing.
This boxing talk.
I don't know. But when he's not around, it's less and less likely that you're going to bump into one of the mouth breathers that puts him on a pedestal.
Bye.
All things end.
They do.
All things good.
They do.
All things bad. How one might choose to describe Gervonta Davis's career in the positive or the negative really all depends on who you ask.
If you ask me, it's good riddance to bad rubbish.
Sear already got off to a good start. It'll be even better if he leaves.
And just in keeping with the theme of anti-doping testing, or the lack thereof,
the rumored rematch between William Zepeda and Tevin Farmer was officially announced yesterday, set to go down March 29th in Cancun, Mexico. And one might feel so inclined to ask, why is Golden Boy giving Tevin Farmer another crack at the apple? The same Golden Boy that didn't think it was necessary to do a rematch between Ryan and Devin. Why would this be necessary?
Why are they doing this?
Just a refresher, Tevin Farmer complained after the fight that there was no anti-doping testing before his fight with William or after his fight with William, but it was incorporated into the contract. So if what Tevin is saying is true, no testing would constitute a breach of said contract and give him grounds to file suit
Against Golden Boy.
Ensuring that there would be anti-doping testing for their fight would have fell on Golden Boy since they were the promoter.
That's on you guys.
You don't hold up your end of the bargain, you're gonna have to make it up to Tevin Farmer somehow, and this is how they're doing it. They're giving him a rematch. Simultaneously keeping William Zepeda busy and out of harm's way, we know that Turkey LL Sheikh had some intention of putting William in the ring with Shakur.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
William became mysteriously injured en route to what was supposed to be the Shakur-Stevenson fight that I now expect will not materialize. What I think they're doing is biding their time and waiting for something to happen, something to change at lightweight. Maybe Vasyl Lomachenko retires and vacates his IBF. Maybe Gervonta retires and vacates his WBA.
I would sooner expect William to go after those titles than go after Shakur's.
Fighting Tevin Farmer again in a rematch that the fans weren't asking for is just their way of keeping William busy, keeping him active while he waits for the pieces to move on the board at 135. Waiting for something to change, waiting for a belt to become available. That's what I think it is.
We talked about the potentiality of this rematch weeks ago. Now here it is.
I don't think it's going to go any differently. I think William is going to beat him again.
Maybe worse this time.
And super lightweight news. News broke yesterday that Dalton Smith has become the WBC's mandatory challenger for the winner of Alberto Puello versus Sandor Martin.
Set to go down on the undercard of Gervonta Davis versus Lamont Roach. What really doesn't make for a great fight. No, things don't really get interesting until after that.
Unbeaten super lightweight contender Dalton Smith has been presented with a direct route towards his first world title shot. The 28-year-old comes off a first-round demolition job against Walid Aouiza, claiming the vacant EBU title after halting his limited opponent in double quick fashion. Before that, the Brit entered a far more appealing matchup against seasoned veteran Jose Zepeda, landing a sickening fifth-round body shot to emerge from his acid test victorious. As a result of his destructive performance, Smith, 17-0 with 13 KOs, has since occupied second place in the WBC ranked standings, putting him in a strong position to challenge for the green and gold strap. Sure enough, his golden opportunity is now seemingly just around the corner, with WBC President Mauricio Suleiman appointing him as the sanctioning body's mandatory challenger at 140, and 140 needs it. 140 needs something to happen or something to change, a belt to change hands. Bring back excitement to this division, once heralded as one of the deeper divisions in all of boxing. Things have really cooled off in the last 12 or 18 months. In an email, which was revealed on Eddie Hearns' Instagram post yesterday, Suleiman stated that the winner of Puello versus Martin will be allowed to make one voluntary defense of their title. After that, the WBC champion, whoever it may be, is likely to be ordered to face mandatory challenger Smith. In the meantime, though, Puello, 23-0 with 10 KOs, and Martin, 42-3 with 15 KOs, will square off on March 1st, featuring on the undercard of Gervonta Davis versus Lamont Roach at the Barclays Center in New York. After claiming a WBC interim title with a split decision win over Gary Antoine Russell, Puello has since been elevated to full champion. Martin, meanwhile, has amassed just 2 wins since his controversial split decision loss to Teofimo Lopez back in 2022. Sandor has not been that active, and you can make of that what you will. A fight between him and Alberto doesn't really promise fireworks if history is any indicator of things to come. They're not action fighters, these two guys.
They're boxers, they're movers. Maybe one of them will break character and make it interesting, I don't know. They're gonna be allowed a voluntary after that.
And I'd say that's the winner of the fight's best bet to fight in a unification match if one is available, say with the winner of Rayo versus Russell.
For Rayo's WBA title, I think Gary Russell's gonna take it from him.
Then after that, if the PBC can scrape together a few dollars, maybe they can make a fight between them, or maybe Turkey can find use for these fighters, these champions.
Would-be champions, because we're not there yet.
So that whoever emerges then has to answer to Dalton Smith. He may be installed as their mandatory challenger, but his opportunity is actually several months down the line, closer to the end of this year. That's likely when he'll get it, or at the beginning of the next one.
I don't think he gets it right away.
Who should he fight in the mean in between time? I could go for Dalton Smith versus Steve Claggett. The one that Teofimo couldn't knock out? I'd like to see if Dalton Smith can knock him out. I'd like to see what Dalton Smith can do to this guy, because if he can, that's a statement. Give me Dalton Smith versus Steve Claggett towards the end of the spring or the beginning of the summer. I think that's a good acid test for Dalton Smith. A chance to send the rest of the division a message.